The single best part about filling in for Rachel, the single best part, hands down, is being able to do this. The election music, I love it. It never gets old. I know it sort of feels like there are big elections every single week now, but last night was yet another big election night across the country, and we have got the results. First off, in the great state of Arizona, voters in the 8th Congressional District held a special election yesterday to replace Democratic Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords. Gabby Giffords threw her support behind her former congressional aide, Ron Barber, who was injured alongside her last January. Now, with all of the votes counted, voters in this Republican-leaning district decided to send the Democrat Ron Barber to Washington. Mr. Barber defeated his Republican challenger, Jesse Kelly, last night by a margin of 6 points. Ron Barber will now serve out the final 6 months of Gabby Giffords' term. But these two will likely face off against each other once again this coming November. So Barber Kelly 1 goes to Barber. But the fans won't have to wait too long until Barber Kelly 2, the rematch, assuming Republicans in Arizona want to give Mr. Kelly another chance. That remains to be seen. Either way, I'm sure we'll get to break out the awesome election music again. Up in North Dakota, voters took to the polls yesterday to decide on a number of headline-grabbing ballot measures, among them a ballot measure to abolish the state's property tax. North Dakota is the lowest unemployment rate in the country. The state government is awash in cash thanks to the oil boom there. And voters were asked yesterday, do you want to get rid of your property tax? And by an overwhelming margin, North Dakotan voters said, no, we do not want to get rid of our property tax. The Eliminate the Property Tax ballot measure failed yesterday, 77% to 23%. If it had been approved, North Dakota would become the first state in the country without a property tax. But North Dakotans yesterday voted to keep paying property tax. Also on the ballot yesterday, North Dakota was a very controversial measure to add a religious liberty amendment to the state's constitution. Critics of the measure argued this would give essentially carte blanche for people to claim religious liberty in order to deny abortion rights to women or to discriminate against gays and lesbians solely on the basis that gays and lesbians offended them for religious reasons. This is an issue that gained attention at the national level earlier this year as congressional Republicans tried to pass a religious liberty exemption when it came to providing contraception coverage to women. Last night, voters in North Dakota had a chance to vote on their version of that, and they said no. They said no in great numbers. The Religious Liberty Amendment was defeated in North Dakota last night by a margin of 64% to 36%. North Dakota is not generally considered a bastion of liberalism. There are no jokes about the People's Republic of North Dakota, for instance. So North Dakota residents rejecting this religious liberty measure and also rejecting the opportunity to abolish their state's property tax may give us some indication about how far is too far on the right these days. Or maybe it doesn't. If you want to see how far can be too far, look no further than San Diego, California, to prove that in some areas there's actually no such thing as too far. San Diego County is still counting the ballots tonight in their Superior Court judge race. Hey, the music again. Where voters are this close to sending a real-life birther to the state bench. Gary Creep, who you may remember as the star of one of the greatest birther infomercials of all time, is now holding a slight lead over veteran San Diego prosecutor Garland Peed in the race for that Superior Court judgeship. Now, you may be saying, okay, Mr. Creep appeared in a birther infomercial a few years ago. That doesn't mean he's still a birther, given that Barack Obama has since furnished his long-form birth certificate, which is what the birthers wanted him to do. If you're thinking that, you would be wrong, as evidenced by this interview with Gary Creep on San Diego television just 2 days ago.
Mr. Obama's spending of over $2 million, according to published reports, to keep people from seeing his real birth certificate, which no one has yet seen. We've seen copies, purported copies of it. We've seen computer compilations of various documents that are supposed to be the real birth certificate, but no one's ever seen the real one. And in fact, the governor of the state of Hawaii earlier this year said they didn't have Mr. Obama's birth certificate in Hawaii official records. Only 3 months later, all of a sudden they found it. So,
do you think Barack Obama is a citizen of the United States?
I have sincere doubts.
Sincere doubts. That's the guy, Mr. Sincere Doubts, that San Diego voters may be about to elect as a Superior Court judge, the birther guy. Again, Mr. Creep now leads Mr. Pede by, hey, there it is, by 216 votes, although there are still more than 13,000 absentee ballots that have yet to be counted. So, as I say, anything could happen. Creep versus Pede are neck and neck. Stay tuned for the final results tonight. Aren't elections grand?